Hi, and welcome to this rest and restore session that's going to be about 30 minutes. It is a session that you can come to whenever you need it. So effortless rest, when your body is quite simply lying but awake, is a really powerful way of quickly accessing the rest and digest part of our nervous system. So that is governed by the vagus nerve, which is our 10th cranial nerve, which wanders, vagus means wandering, wanders through our body from our brainstem. And it's related, it has two pathways, ventral vagus nerve and the dorsal vagus nerve. The ventral vagus nerve is very much connected to our social engagement, and social engagement is so important to humans. We are social creatures, and being able to engage and communicate and be able to read other people is a real sign that everything, our body and mind, is functioning as it should. When that vagus nerve is dysfunctioning, or we are falling into more of the dorsal vagus nerve, which is the older side, which tends to be more withdrawn, slightly depressive, then it means that our vagus nerve function, or our vagal tone, which people sometimes talk about, means our vagal tone isn't as strong and our ventral vagus nerve isn't functioning so well. When it comes to rest and restore, rest and restoration is so key for the body and mind, and simplicity goes such a long way. So today I have props with me. I have blanket, I have tennis ball, I have a bolster, but you can use cushions. You don't have to have a bolster. I also have my array of cushions, and I have my bricks and my blocks, but you can use recipe books, you can use hardback books, you can use cushions, blankets. You don't need to spend lots of money on getting all the right equipment. If you have it, great. And what I'm going to do today is obviously rest and restore, says it on the tin. It's going to be very restorative. So we're looking at restorative yoga, some restorative breath work, and just a bit of gentle movement. So to start, we're going to come into a supported child's pose. So you can use a bolster here. Bring your knees out wide, your big toes to touch. This is just heaven. This pose. You can come into this at any point of the day on its own, without doing the full sequence. And then you can just come and rest and lie, either with your forehead, but that might be quite uncomfortable if you've got quite a hard bolster like this, or one cheek and then the other cheek. So come and lie in this position if you have a bolster. If you don't, you can use a couple of cushions and bring them down, and they'll have exactly the same effect. And once you're down in your supported child's pose, take a lovely deep inhale in through the nose and out through the mouth. And take 2 more deep inhales and exhales, and with every exhale, exhale right to the end of the breath, but also with every exhale, feel your body start to almost melt into the cushions or the bolster below you. Let your jaw relax, your shoulders relax, your arms. Then just let your breath Come into an even flow of inhale and exhale. Allowing your breath to be the thing that is giving your body that moment, that time, that opportunity to rest and feel restored as you're drawing the oxygen into your body, drawing the life force, the prana from every breath. And then you can move the other cheek down onto the cushion and continue to breathe. Now bringing your awareness to your back body. Inhaling, expanding the breath into your back, into your lower back. Reaching the breath into the parts of the body where we hold tension. And just allow the thoughts, your mind just to start to come inwards, gently and safely from the external noise. And by noise, I mean busyness of the mind, busyness of the day. And just slowly turn inwards into the breath, into how the body is feeling today in the moment. And then slowly lifting yourself up, bringing your hands down onto the mat behind you, rooting down into the hands, lifting the chest, lifting the gaze. Take a lovely deep inhale in through the nose and out through the mouth. And then inhale, coming forwards onto the fingertips. Then place the cushions down to the side. Place the hands down onto the mat and come into your tabletop position. Lift out the wrists, lift the front body. Extend through the crown of the head, lengthening the spine. And just start to create some very small circles with your hips, moving with the breath. One way and then the other. And then start to extend the circles. Moving one way, moving the other. Until you're coming into full hip circles. Release the head and neck. And then slowly come back to a neutral position. Drop the belly, lift the gaze. Come into your cow, your spinal extension. And moving from the base of the spine, tuck the tailbone. Draw the belly in. Start to round through the middle of the back, the top of the back, bringing the chin to the chest, coming into a cat. And inhaling, lifting the gaze, rolling the shoulders down the back. Squeeze the shoulder blades in, dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone. And just moving slowly, so exhaling into your cat. And then inhaling. Into your cow. Being really mindful of the spine, so you're not just moving it in two parts, but you're moving each part very slowly. And then coming back to neutral, extending the arms out. Move the cushion so you can see. Lower the forehead to the mat, coming into heart to earth pose. So any position where your forehead is resting on the mat, deep pressure, particularly on the forehead, is very inhibiting of the fight and flight response. It's very calming. Your prefrontal cortex also sits right behind the skin of your forehead. So you're just gently rolling the forehead from side to side, applying the deep pressure, calming the nervous system whilst calming the brain. Also, you're in a slight gentle inversion here. Just starting to rehydrate the brain as well. And then inhaling, lifting back into your tabletop. Finding your stability, your foundation, lengthen your spine. Then I'm going to grab a few blocks and props here. So you can use cushions, you can use a recipe book instead of bricks. So this is a block, sorry, this is a brick. And I'm going to come into a restorative downward dog. This is also really good to do for women at that time of the month, because inversions, when women have their period, because the apana energy is downward moving, to come into inversions can be quite strong. But a restorative downward dog is a good halfway house. For our purposes today, any use of props is very restoring to the nervous system. So you can place your hands onto the bricks, lift your tailbone to the sky. You just have to move around a bit to find where's comfortable, and then rest your head onto the block, and that forehead again, inhibiting fight and flight, that is just heaven. You bend the knees as well. That is like a holiday for your lower back. And if you breathe deeply and exhale, just feel your lower back melting. And close the eyes and breathe. So you're still extending away from the wrists,
Still bring the weight into your legs. Still squeezing the shoulder blades together. Loosening the jaw. I could stay here. I could really stay here for a while. I do. It's really wonderful. And then what you can do, release the forehead, slowly walk the legs up and come into your ragdoll, but again supported. Bend the knees and release the head down. So this is all about giving our body points of reference, allowing the sensors from our skin, quite literally, sending messages back to our brain: there is no threat, our body is safe, triggering that rest and digest response. This is also incredibly good for mental fatigue, mental fog. And then very slowly release the head and neck, and peel your way up to a standing position. Roll the shoulders forward and up, and release. Inhale, roll the shoulders forward and up. Exhale, release. Inhale, roll the shoulders forward and up. And exhale, release. And then give your arms, I'm a big fan of this, bringing a bit of gentle movement into the body. So we're not firing up the body here, we're just loosening any energy that might be stuck, any fluid that might be stuck. Just rolling the shoulders. And then finding your mountain pose, rooting down through the feet, lifting through the arches, lifting up through the body, up through the pelvic floor, the core, the sternum, gentle opening of the chest, lowering the shoulders, extending up through the spine, arms down by your sides, palms facing forwards. Closing the eyes and just observing, noticing how the body feels. Notice how the breath feels. Then inhaling, open the eyes, circling the arms up overhead. Exhaling, the hands down through prayer at heart center. Exhaling into your forward fold. Turning the feet outwards. Lowering down into a squat position with either the soles of your feet on the mat, or it might be more comfortable to be on the balls. Just extend the knees out with your elbows. Lift. Again, lift the sternum, drop the shoulders, feeling the length through the spine. Breathing here. And then, as elegantly as you can, dropping down and coming into easy pose, seated pose. So another one of my favorite tools, the oh so simple yoga belt. So you can use a dressing gown cord or a tie, but I'd really recommend one of these. Yoga Matters, great company. I'll pop a link in the comment box. And I worked with a lot of belts when I was doing my adaptive yoga learning workshops. So I worked in adaptive yoga for 3 years with a wonderful, wonderful yoga teacher who was taught by an American who only came to yoga when he was paralyzed.
a teacher, a man called Matthew Sanford, quite extraordinary to be around. And they use belts a lot. They use belts to help you access the subtle body. So we have different layers of our body. We have the physical body. That's this. That's what we know. And then beneath that, we have the subtle body, the energies, the subtle bodies. And when you're paralyzed, you can't feel the physical, but you can, this is what Matthew would tap into, you can tap into the subtle energies, which when you see it, it's remarkable. And belts help you, help your body, your mind and body tap into those more subtle energies. And they're a reference point for your body to allow your body to relax more, same as props. So in seated position, you can take the belt and place it round your knees. And what that'll do, bring it right down to the base of your lower back. Oh, and that is just, again, that's like that melting sensation. I just feel my lower spine go, ah. It's wonderful. And what we're going to do now is some breath work. Breath being incredibly beneficial and a very fast way to get straight into that vagus nerve and into that rest and digest function. Breathing also benefits the activity of the brain. Breathing and counting breath helps to quieten the brain. It's all about focus and distraction. So we'll come into some abdominal breathing. So close the eyes and initially just allow the breath to be. Don't force it, don't worry about trying to achieve anything through it. Simply by noticing the breath alone and just starting to become aware of the inhale and exhale, that in itself will be calming and restoring. Just start to notice the expansion of the ribs as you inhale. Start to notice where the breath is going. Do you feel it more in the top of your chest, which is totally normal because we tend to breathe up here? Are you feeling it in your back, or are you feeling it down towards your abdomen, towards your diaphragm? And bring your right hand to your diaphragm and see if you can consciously direct your breath towards your right hand. As you inhale, feeling your right hand rise, your diaphragm contracting and therefore allowing more space in your lungs, allowing you to draw more air down into your lungs. And exhaling, and then the diaphragm relaxing. Inhaling and exhaling. In through the nose and out through the nose. Gently open the eyes briefly. Bring the hands under your armpits and just close the elbows down. I just want you, as an experiment, just to feel how it feels to breathe just in the top part of your chest. It's quite hard, isn't it? And feel how the muscles in the top of your back and neck, your trapezius, starts to get really tight, and you can just imagine where those tension headaches come from. Imagine where that aching in your shoulders, your neck. And then release again, bring your hand back to your diaphragm. Close the eyes and come back into your abdominal breathing. So abdominal breathing alone, that's the only thing you're able to do, do it. If you want to help your body rest and restore, it's a wonderful thing to do. You're bringing more oxygen into the body. Oxygen is helping to release tension throughout your body, throughout your muscles. To get into those tension patterns, it helps to quieten the activity of the mind, helps to focus and bring the mind into a meditative state, thereby strengthening the hold, the control of the prefrontal cortex, your rational brain, over your more emotional thinking. Helps you access the rest and digest. Helps with immunity, as it's massaging out part of your lymphatic system. Helps with digestion. It's a really powerful but simple tool to have at your fingertips. And on the next exhale, release the breath. Release the belt. And I'm going to bring you into, so we've got about 3 minutes. I'm going to bring you into legs on a chair. So let me just grab the chair. So you can do this with your legs up a wall as well. I just don't have a wall, but I do have a chair. And what you can take a book. I've got a block here. Place it so that it's going to go onto your sit bones, and then wiggle yourself forwards and onto the block. My knees are onto the chair. Then I'm releasing my hands down by my sides. And that, again, I keep talking about melting. So rest and restore is actually a lot about allowing the body to melt. But what this does is it releases the lower back, brings the pelvis back into alignment. There aren't many poses which completely take the pressure off the pelvis from this angle. Also, inverting gravity, which is great for the lymphatic system, great for circulation. It's great to bring fresh blood into the abdominal region, helps to relax this region, which is so important because we hold a lot of tension in our core, which can really affect our digestive system and also our immunity, because our lymphatic system and our digestive tract very much go hand in hand. Helps to lower our blood pressure. Our heart is level with our head, so our heart's having to work less hard. And it's very, very restful. You can close the eyes and just sink into the mat, sink into the ground beneath you. Let your breath be very relaxed, no forcing needed. Let the jaw relax, shoulders. And just keep lying where you are. And I'll bring you out shortly. Take one last deep inhale in through the nose and out through the mouth. Very gently move yourself off the chair and come onto your right side in a fetal position with your hands under your cheek as a pillow. And with the eyes still closed, lever yourself back up to a seated position. Bring the hands into prayer at heart center. Lift the thumbs to the third eye. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. I realised I didn't use our tennis ball, but do not fear, this will be used again. There's much we are able to do with it, just too much to cover in a 30-minute-ish session, but I hope you're feeling a little rested and restored. Come back to this session whenever you need to.